Okay, in June of 2011, I read two books, or a graphic novel and a book. The book I read was Dead Reckoning by Charlaine Harris. It's part of it was originally called the Southern Vampire series, but no one remembered it for that, so it was called the Sookie Stackhouse books, because that's the main character. She's the narrator. It's the series that the TV series True Blood is based on, and it is the second most recent book. There's a book that's going to be coming out this year, I think in the spring or something. No, wait. Let me think about that. No, it is the most recent book that is in print. And unfortunately, I can't go into too much of it without giving stuff away because it's so far into the series. Charlaine Harris can be a really good writer, and she can be a really frustrating writer, and it's just sort of a problem with long series that I kind of want them to end at a certain point. I just feel like some of them are drawn out way too long, and they could resolve things pretty easily if they wanted to, and they just don't. So, if you're not familiar with this series, it should be pretty impressive. Sookie Stackhouse is a waitress living in this fictional town called Bon Temps in Louisiana, and she is a waitress at this bar called, called Merlot's, for the owner, Sam Merlot, and she is telepathic, and she sort of solves mysteries, which is why it's called the Southern Vampire Mystery, or series, and it's called the Vampire series because it is in this parallel universe where vampires have revealed themselves to the world, because they now theoretically no longer need to drink blood because the Japanese have developed this synthetic blood called True Blood that they drink instead. So it's another urban fantasy, I guess, paranormal romance maybe, and it's a pretty good series. I mean, I've been reading it for a while, but I guess I'm just sort of committed by this point to want to see it through to the end. So, yeah, I read that. This book, is, I think that she was able to resolve some of the things that I was really frustrated with in earlier books, and yet at the same time, I guess I'm never satisfied because I felt like some of the things how she resolved them didn't seem to entirely make sense or came out of nowhere, but maybe that's just a problem with Sookie's character, is she's sort of flighty and a little bit flaky and indecisive. But the next one I read, the other thing I read was American Flagg, which was a comic book series that was published in the 80s by a not very well known publisher, First Comics. I think it was later reprinted in a larger hardbound set by Image, who I guess bought out First Comics. But it was a very strange series. It was in the 80s, like I said, and that was sort of a really cool time for comics and a really strange time for comics. There was all of these weird kind of dystopian science fiction series that dealt with some sort of police state and government control, and the art and a lot of the kind of humor was very reminiscent of like Frank Miller when he was doing The Dark Knight, or like when he did the Martha Washington series. And it is about this guy, Reuben Flagg, who comes back to Earth. He's been living on Mars, and he joins the Rangers in Chicago. It was, I think they originally had a 12-issue run, and then they had another series that followed that was never as successful as the original 12-issue run. The artwork is really good. It's, like I said, it's similar to a lot of stuff that was being done at the time. They really utilize the page, but also like sound effects, and particularly the lettering and like the layout. That was done by Ken Bruzenak, who I've never heard of before. I assumed it was all Howard Chaykin. It's mostly him, but Ken Bruzenak's stuff is a huge part of the look, and it's really effective. The kind of tone is a little bit uneven. I'm never quite sure if it's being serious or satirical, and there is certainly an amount of satire to it, but that's worth looking into. You don't need to necessarily get the huge one, but go through a couple issues of that. So yeah, Howard Chaykin, American Flagg. That's June.